Hey, yo, Danny.
So,
Need some final words of advice, man.
final words of advice for tonight. I'll say that if you want to survive in life and be like old and kind of successful, the only thing that's gonna get you by is gonna be rock and roll, because rock and roll is pure. Rock and roll came from the roots, and the roots of rock and roll, of course, is the blues. So like the blues, if you look at a tree, a big tree that's been around for a long time, the blues is the roots, and that tree that comes out of it, and you see all the other branches, that's what the blues produce. So like the main thing is rock and roll, and everything else is on there is like soul. They got the jazz, they got the blues, they got pop music, they got the punk rock music, they got the reggae music, they got world music, drum music. What? Oh, hey. But some other thing that you could like talk about music is like do drugs. I'm just since we're being recorded on film, we'll not be obnoxious and I guess kind of spontaneous when you're like on a certain substance and you're on a certain mode. So I always tell everybody, yeah, just do drugs, drink a lot, and when you drink a lot and do a lot of drugs, and if you could play music, that means you're a musician. But if you do a lot of drugs and drink a lot, and you can't play music, then you're not made to be a musician. But if you could drink a lot, party a lot, drink a lot, put whatever you want in your nose in your veins, and still play really good music, then you're a musician no matter what. You know, like, that's just the way it is. It's kind of been like that since like almost a good 200 years. No matter what, like what
Since
kind.
medieval?
Well, yeah, it's been since the medieval days. Since the musketeers were around, you know, they. But
super stupid.
I'm just saying, man. If yeah, you know, get that to that level, and you do and you party too much and you can't play music, then you not to do music. But if you party a lot, and you still could play music, then that's your role. That's you.
Rolling life?
It's your character. It's like a little speck in the whole entire world. I'm not trying to continue. I just want to say a few things out there before anything goes out. And I'm just saying, I'm just talking about being a real musician, a street musician right here in Riverside, in the March of 2011 at fucking whatever time it is right now, as a real musician. I just like to give a few shout outs right now. And Marcos Barad, he's a real musician. He's over here. Don't matter where he's come from or what he's done and what's happened to him. And this time right now, in our time, and what you were getting on film, he's a real musician. If you were to want to have a good drummer and somebody that knows what's going on, right here. No, Jose is a flake. He's what I guess you could call still an amateur. You know, he's still trying to figure out the ropes. But a lot of amateurs that trying to figure out the ropes never make it up to the top because they usually choke on the ropes. But I have somebody here that hasn't choked on the ropes at all, that's been fucking actually doing it for a while, and he's over here. You know, he lays down the drums for anybody that needs to have the drums, and from coming as a serious musician to another serious musician on this point of view, we got one right here. And over here, I would like to introduce somebody else. He's laying on his back, cross-legged. He's skinny and lanky. He probably hasn't shaved in like 27 hours, but he's doing okay. And he's another musician. His name is Roland Rojas. And vocally, you know, he's more of a vocalist. He's not really I guess I could say as a guitarist or bassist or drummer, you know, taking care of that. He's more of a singer, and most of all, he's a gangster. You know, like that's what they call him sometimes. That's what like the people that don't know music call him. And he usually likes to roll blunts, so he has a nickname, Rolling Blunts. And third, we have another musician that's like in the other spot. that I could say that's kind of coming up and been around the scene for a while. He's still young. They call him the fish because he's just a fish, you know.
All he does is drink, never smokes.
Yeah, he's just Jed Rango, you know. He's Jed Rango. He's Jed Rango. He plays guitar. He knows what's up. He's the youngest one in the group, but he has a lot of belief in it. He believes a lot in the instrument, and he believes a lot in the music, you know, because he got it since he was young. He's still a fish, like, in the sea, and we've been in the sea for a while. I guess you can call us the sharks, you know, because we've been around here and there, and we got little chips in ourselves, so we're a little bit of a shark. But, like, it's good to have the fish around, because when you have the fish around, it's more influence, you know, as us older cats by, like, at least 2 or 3 years. We see the young ones coming up, and once we influence them and make them do good music, they'll come in and do the good music themselves. So it's an even balance. We don't really discriminate on any musicians, especially the good musicians I'm talking about right now. And I would like to repeat them back to you. Marcos Barad, drummer, aka drummer, aka drummer. That's it. You know, he did. If you ask him to play guitar, he'll suck at it. If you tell him to play bass, he'll do okay at it. But if you tell him to play the drums, Marcos Barad. You know, he's to be a professional drummer. He'll get up there. Second, we have on the list, Roland Rojas, vocalist. You know, he could do it freestylely. He could play the soft stuff. He could play heaviness. He could get really jazzed up on you. He could also get heavy on you, but it'll be scary. We don't want to scare you. Audience out there who's watching this. Third, we got this little fellow, white fro, Jet Rango. And he's pretty good, you know, he shreds it up. And he's going to be coming up sometime very soon, because he's around a lot of good people that like to do a lot of good things, and he's just going to help them out, and we will help him out too. Third, Francisco Mesa. He's a fucking bass player. He was one of the first bass players I saw back in the day, before I even saw any real other players besides fucking Fieldy from Korn. He's a bass player that I saw from the streets by playing the shows, and he's one of my top favorite 5 bass players of all time. He's also another musician that's gonna come up. And if my cards are right, and I'm talking to you right now, live, as this shit is being foretold as a fortune, or as a delicate mistake, it's still gonna be a little bit truthful, because I'm talking about people I know. So Francisco has to be there. Another one bass player I gotta talk about is Matt Malice. Little guy, he's way older than me. He's probably in his 30s. He plays for Angie Simone's now, but that guy laid it down for everybody. He was first bass player I saw actually play live. First bass player that was really good seeing live. So he's got to be there. And after that, we got this other person they like to call. He's probably weird and fat, really fat, short, but has the biggest cock of all, Danny D. And I'm not talking about Ryan Jeremy. Is that what you thought? I was talking about Danny D, man. Danny D. You know, he has a little funkiness in him, a little soul, and that's all that matters. Ain't no so much to say about that motherfucker, other than
What kind of kicks does he wear?
if you had a keg, I'll tell you something about him. I'll tell you something about if you had a
Shoes.
It don't matter about the shoes. I'll tell you something right now. If there was a keg right now, and he was around, it'd be gone in 20 minutes. That's it.
That's a good interview, man. Good advice, man.
Good. It's not advice. It's just from what I know.
Good knowledge. That's what I meant.
Not knowledge at all. Hey,